I think the next day was the day I was supposed to go home and see my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really want to leave because now I was worried. And I was like, what if I leave and like he goes really bad while I'm gone?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, it's only an hour and a half. I can come right back, but I
Mm-hmm.
really need to go see the kids. It was in the morning because I left in the morning to come and see the kids. And
I think because you stayed that night because you were worried that
I
I
did
wouldn't
stay that
make
night.
it. Yeah, that I
Yeah.
wouldn't make it. So
Yeah.
you wanted to be close.
Yeah.
And then you decided, okay, you made it through the night. I'll go home today.
Right. Because I almost didn't go home.
Yeah.
I told your mom I might not come home this time. We'll see how he feels in the morning. And then you were feeling okay. You hadn't gotten worse ish. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go home. So your mom came in and I left the hospital and I was on my way home. And I remember, I think I was having an anxiety attack that I had to keep praying. And I was like, please, God, just help me overcome this anxiety. I know this is just a tool kind of that Satan is using to put fear in my heart and take my hope away.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I was praying against that all the way back because it's really hard to talk when you're crying. I thought I could just power through it, but it's really hard to just power through. I didn't want to get home and be a mess for my kids. I didn't want to put that on them. So, but I was like crying and having these anxiety attacks on the way home, and I was just praying against them like constantly. And I'd be singing and I'd be trying to sing and I'd be like crying the songs out. And I remember this one song. Actually, I'll post it as this week's song. It's pretty much saying like I can't remember the word. Oh, I think it was Please God, I'm Desperate. That's the one.
I'm down on my knees. Send help from heaven. You're what I need.
Thank you. So I was singing that song really loud in the car and just praying for God to help me have it together when I got home to see the kids. So, and he did. I got home and they didn't really know that I was having such a hard time, and I didn't want to tell them yet at all that we were worried that the chemo hadn't worked. So I really couldn't let on that we were that worried. So I got home and we were just going about our day. My parents came over and they were visiting me a little bit. And then Grant FaceTimed. And I was like, okay, that's good. And, he has enough energy to FaceTime. And he FaceTimed while my parents were here. And he was saying that the doctor had come in like right after I had left, pretty much, and was telling him that he was concerned that pretty much, long story short, that the chemo hadn't worked and that they thought that the cancer was still there and that this was why Grant was so sick. So he not only was he battling the effects of the chemo, he was still battling the cancer, and that the chemo hadn't gotten it.
And they weren't really sure why I still had so many symptoms. He was actually the head doctor of the oncology department in health science, and he called me his Rubik's Cube because I was a puzzle to him, and he really wanted to figure it out. But I could see on his face that I don't think he thought he was going to fix the Rubik's Cube in time. But he was willing to give it a try. My mom was in there at the time, I believe. I think she was there
Mhm.
by then.
Yeah.
But yeah, when she got to the hospital, she hadn't seen me really for, I think, a week. And you can kind of
He
see in the pictures that it was
looked a lot
a
different.
big difference
Yeah.
in 1 week time. So
I even warned her
yeah, that
because I knew that seeing you like that was going to be a shock to her. And I
Yeah.
texted her ahead of time and I was like, just so you know, he looks like an 80-year-old man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So that she would come in
not lose it
and
completely.
be ready to
Yeah.
see you.
Still was hard.
Mhm.
I do remember that.
So you FaceTimed, and essentially, it sounded like the doctor thought that the chemo hadn't worked and that the cancer was still there. And why they thought this was well, first of all, because he was so sick, and they're like, this isn't normal. You should be getting better by now.
The fever should be gone by now.
Yeah, he
Your
still had his
condition should
fevers
improve,
from
not
40 days before.
looking like an 80-year-old
Yeah.
when you're 40.
Yep. And he wanted to do a bone marrow biopsy to see, I think, if there was still cancer and if it was more than before, kind of thing. Because Grant's white blood cells is one of the ways that they can kind of keep track of how his blood is doing, is by keeping track of his hemoglobin, platelets, and white blood cells. They were concerned because it should be all going up kind of together, but his white blood count was going up without much movement from his other stuff. And so they were worried that that was actually because cancer cells can show up as white blood cells. Hard to explain, but anyway, that was what was concerning him, was he thought that your white blood count was actually cancer cells showing themselves instead of actual white blood cells. So he wanted to do a bone marrow biopsy, and that's what you were calling to tell me by FaceTime. So that was not helpful to my anxiety once I realized that the doctor also was thinking that it hadn't worked and that he was very concerned about you. And now I was starting to have like a little panic attacks. And so here I am trying to score school and just make it to bedtime. Because my first instinct was, I need to pray. Like, I need to call out to God and pray. Like, I've never prayed before. And just come before him. And even just to get rid of this anxiety. Like, I just knew I just needed that. And come before God on Grant's behalf, because nothing else would work, is what I was thinking. Like, this is it. It's up to God now. And I'm going to ask him with my whole heart. So I was just trying to make it to evening so I could do that in my bedroom after the kids went to bed. And so all day I was just going back and forth between anxiety and praying, and then I'd have peace because I prayed, and then 15 minutes later the anxiety would come back, and then I have to pray again, and it was a battle for sure. I just kept saying, Satan, you do not have control over me. You are not going to make me cave to fear. And I would just ask God, please just give me peace. Just give me peace. Just give me peace. Help me not to have anxiety. Help this to just just to go away, because I almost couldn't function. I couldn't think. So it was just a back and forth struggle. It was a real battle right till bedtime. And we watched a movie together, me and the kids, because that's what they wanted to do that night. And I don't remember at all anything about that movie. I did not see it. I didn't comprehend it. I just
was present.
Just present, and hoping my kids didn't notice that I was stressing. And then when they went to bed, I went into my room, shut the door, grabbed a box of Kleenex, and went into my closet, because that's the most soundproof room in my house. And I was like, I'm just going to let it all out. And so I did for a good hour in my closet. I fell on the floor, before God, and I prayed and I prayed and I cried, and I just let all the crying out that I was holding back pretty much all day. And I just remember thinking about Job and Hezekiah and all these characters in the Bible who cried out to God. Specifically, Hezekiah I was really thinking about, because he found out that he was going to die, and he went before God and cried out to him and asked for more time, and God granted him, I think it was 15 more years of living. And I just kept thinking that, and I was like, please God, help this not be Grant's time. And I asked just to please grant us more time. I didn't care how much more time. I did care. I wanted to grow old together. Actually, I was just asking for more time, and that this wouldn't be the end. And I found out later, actually, that other people that didn't even really know you and definitely didn't know what you were going through were doing the same thing for you that night. My mom and dad were here when they got the call, and I didn't know it, but obviously they were concerned too, and knew that wasn't sounding good. So they also went home and prayed and cried out to God that night. And another lady later told me, and we don't spend any time with her. She's actually just another homeschooling lady that we know through some homeschooling events, but we don't hang out or anything. And she texted me and said, on that night, I felt impressed by God to really, really pray for Grant. And anyway, and we heard like 3 or 4 other people at least had felt the same thing that night, and they were all just crying out to God on your behalf that night. And it was amazing. When I was done praying in the closet that night, I didn't know what the outcome of that prayer was going to be. I didn't know if God was going to heal you. I didn't know, but I felt peace, even just praying, even just coming before God and crying out to him, and then leaving it in his hands. It just gave me peace. I fell into bed that night and I slept. I didn't stay awake worrying. I didn't stay awake with anxiety. I just went to bed, slept through the whole night like a baby. No, not like a baby. Better than a baby.
When I was going to bed, I always would phone Melissa when she was at home. When I was pretty much ready for bed, have my meds, do all my things, then get in bed and call Melissa and say goodnight and kind of see how her ride was, that kind of stuff. And yeah, so I called, and I remember that night thinking, like, even on the FaceTime, I was already not sure if I would see my kids again. And that was painful. Yeah. And when I called at night saying goodbye to Melissa, I wasn't sure, because of how I was feeling, if I would see the next morning. So I didn't really let that on, because I didn't want to ruin her night. But that was tough. That was one of my harder nights. But God had other plans. I said goodnight, and I prayed every night that God would give me another day, and he did.
And then in the morning, I don't remember if I texted you first or if you texted me first. I think I texted you and I said, so how are you feeling? And your first text back was big capital letters, awesome, and
Mm.
exclamation, exclamation, exclamation.
Mhm.
I think I cried a little. And that was like a huge turning point for him.
Mhm.
Your fever was gone that morning.
Yeah, that was the
For the
first
first
morning I woke up.
time in like 40 days, he woke
Mhm.
up with no fever. And he had energy.
I felt
And
clear. I felt
Mhm.
energized. They took my blood at 6 in the morning, and I think I was even awake before they came in the room, and I was already feeling good.
Mhm.
And they took my blood, and I was just feeling like today's the day. And
You felt a turnaround.
I felt something different. I definitely felt a change,
Mhm.
like a complete, like 180. He took my temperature, and the nurse was like, "You don't have a fever." And I was like, "No way." Yeah,
And it never came back.
it was surreal.
It didn't come back
No.
again until like, your stem cell transplant, when you had to go through all that again. But
Mm-hmm.
that was it. It was just gone.
Yeah, that was amazing. Just that feeling was unbelievable. I was feeling when I went to bed that I was like not gonna make it, and then the next day I was like, I'm back in action, and God gave me a whole new energy. I don't know. So yeah, it was an amazing morning, and my blood numbers came back, and things were climbing.
Like everything started going up, which is what they were hoping for
Mm-hmm.
and looking for
Mm-hmm.
before.
Mm-hmm.
And now that was happening.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas hemoglobin, his platelets, and his white blood count were all going up at the rate they should be.
Mm-hmm. Well, faster than I think,
Yeah.
because even the doctors were like,
They
couldn't believe how fast I came from like 0 to 60.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they were even like, I can't explain this.
mm-hmm.
Like, we don't know what happened. We don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But yay!
But I said, I know.
I know.
Yeah.
And I really think that was, like I said in the first one, when we first heard you were diagnosed with leukemia, my first instinct was to go pray.
Mm-hmm.
And when we prayed together with the elders in my family and our family, then we did pray for a miracle that day.
Mm-hmm.
And we were asking God to intervene, and we were just praying for a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer at that time was no.
Mm-hmm.
But I really believe that
or just not yet.
Or not yet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was just wait, or not yet, like, and I think he knew, he knows what's best for us.
Mm-hmm.
And you going through that,
mm-hmm.
as weird as it is to say or to hear, was one of the best things
mm-hmm.
that ever happened for us,
mm-hmm.
or to us.
Yeah.
It strengthened us, strengthened our walk with God.
Because we prayed together every day.
Mm-hmm.
We read scripture. We listened to.
We really dug in.
We dug in
to our faith.
Yeah. And you can say all you want. You don't have time for scripture. You don't have time to pray. You don't have time. God will make a way.
To get your attention.
Yeah.
And God's not the one, whenever we say stuff like this,
mm-hmm.
I'm worried that people are going to think that we think God gave you cancer.
Mm-hmm. No.
But that's not it at all.
No.
We live in a fallen world
mm-hmm.
that has illness and sickness and disease and pain and suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just part of life. But God can use that situation to bring about a lot of great stuff.
Amen. Yeah.
And he did.
Mm-hmm.
He did in that situation. He touched people
mm-hmm.
through that, not just us, but other people. And we still hear the effects of it from other people sometimes
mm-hmm.
too, how it helped them in their walk with God. It helped them draw closer to God. And we were just happy to be being used by him,
mm-hmm.
And to be drawing closer to him. And actually, after we left the hospital, I remember being home and thinking, I almost miss that feeling of, I almost wanted to go back to the hospital, to be back in that just feeling his presence so closely.
Yeah, so strong.
Yeah. So it was one of the worst times of our life, but one of the best times of our life, all at the same time. And it's really hard to explain. But I really feel like God gave us a miracle that night.
Yes.
There's no other explanation for it.
Mm-hmm.
He brought you back from the brink of death.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know how much longer he's given you. He's given you for sure 2 years already.
Mm-hmm.
And every day past that time is a gift from God.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how we view it now, right?
Yeah.
And we're just thankful and grateful for every day. This whole thing really changed our perspective on life, that's for sure. So my trip back to the city was a lot more lighthearted than my trip home, that's for sure. And I didn't end up bringing the kids in with me, but they did FaceTime him, and they were all a bunch of goofballs. But he was feeling much better, as you could tell in his picture. Maybe not looking much better quite yet, but feeling much better. And you can tell that he has some energy back, and you know. And then this next one is a picture of him going home. 6 days later, he was going home. So he went from almost dying or being on death's doorstep for sure, to going home in 6 days. So it was a pretty fast turnover. His blood numbers came up enough in those 6 days that they felt confident sending him home. He had enough energy to actually pack up and leave and walk small distances for a while. And this verse that he's holding says, the pain that you have been feeling cannot compare to the joy that's coming. Romans 8:18. And of course that joy is talking about our eternal joy, which is something we definitely had to keep in mind the whole time. But it was also such a fitting verse for that day and that experience. Oh yeah, and not only did God give you that miracle, I really believe that night, they did the bone marrow biopsy a few days later. They had to wait for his blood numbers to come up a little bit higher. And then when they did the bone marrow biopsy, they came in the very same day with the results. And even when the guy was doing the biopsy, I remember him looking at your blood or bone, what's it called? Bone marrow that he had taken out, and they put them on these little slides in the room. And he was looking at them, and he was like kind of nodding, and he's like, I think you're going to have good results. And he could tell just by looking at Grant's bone marrow that we were going to have good results. Like I don't know how he did that, but I remember him saying that. So that afternoon, the doctor came in, and with him came 2 nurses because they were so excited, because I honestly think they all thought Grant was going to die. And they came in with him just because they wanted to be there when we got the news. And the doctor said, yep, you're in remission. And one of the nurses said, you're not just in remission, because the doctor, for some reason, didn't say this. And she was so excited. She's like, you're in complete remission. And I didn't know what that meant at the time, but I found out later. It's when you're in remission, then the cancer, there's still some cancer cells there, but they're kind of like shocked. They're not doing anything. They're just there.
Dormant.
But they're dormant, yeah. And that's being in remission. But he was in complete remission, which means that they couldn't even find cancer cells anywhere. There was none. They were gone. So that, again, showed me that was a miracle. And he actually recovered super fast, too, from that. You grew hair really quick. You gained weight. It seemed like in a month you were back to your normal weight. And, like, it was crazy. Every time your nurses would see you, they were like, what in the world? What are you doing? What are you eating? How are you bouncing back so quick? Yeah, it was really amazing. But that is the story of what we believe
was the first miracle.
Yeah, and I think there was a few other ones after that. But so pray, people. Prayer works. We really believe that, especially now. And I think even if that's all it was for God to just show that I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
I answer prayers. Pray.
Mm-hmm. And his answer might be not yet.
No. Yeah.
So that's.
And sometimes it might be no.
Mm-hmm.
And we were surrendered to that result too.
Yeah. We were ready for that one.
But in that case, it was answered. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I just really encourage people to pray.
Mm-hmm.
Prayer works. It does. It helps. Even if it's just to bring you peace,
Mm-hmm.
like it did for me that night.
We needed the Lord's strength. We needed his presence, and it was continual. It was constant. And even nurses, they commented a few times how our room felt light, or why is your room so, like, everybody in your room is always so happy, and everybody, why, like, they just weren't used to seeing that. And I know for a fact that it was the presence of the Lord. Just his spirit within that room just brought peace and strength.
And we did have to seek his presence continually,
yes,
to stay in the right mindset.
Mm-hmm. It is easy for Satan to distract you and cause you to have hard feelings even, but just rebuke that in Jesus' name, and lean on him for strength and seek him for strength, and his presence will floor you. His word is as alive today as it has ever been.
That's the song that I posted, I think 2 weeks ago, on our channel, and it was called Same God. And it talks about that, how the same God that did all those things in the Bible time, like he did for Hezekiah, and like he did for Job, and like he just for David, just the same God that did all those things in the Bible time, and Jesus did all those miracles, he's the same God still today.
Amen.
And we have to understand that and believe that, and not forget that, because it's so easy to forget that, especially in today's world with all its distractions. But I think that's everything that we were wanting to kind of cover. That was the end of your first hospital stay.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. See you next time.